And we are live. Welcome to episode 7, take 2 of the RetroSlot podcast. For those of you listening to the podcast version, we had a little false start there, but this time we got it worked out. I asked JSniperton how his Christmas shopping was going. How is your Christmas shopping going?
You asked if I had finished yet, and I was like, well, what defines starting?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've even started yet at this point, to be honest.
I don't know if you do this. For Christmas shopping, like, I kind of keep a list throughout the years on my phone that's just called, like, Christmas.
You do?
Like, when people mention, oh, I like that, or, like, I get an idea, I'll put it in that list.
Okay.
And but for some reason, because the conversation has not been about like physical things I want, it's been more about like I wish I could go outside. I wish I could
just give him like a shadow box of a park or something. Just be like, here's your outside.
Yeah. I wish I didn't have to sit in front of this computer. I wish I could go back to school. Like things like that. It's harder. It's a harder year to get a finger on good Christmas gifts. And I don't know, do you ever like go to the mall when you need Christmas gifts? Like you're just trying to finish off a Christmas gift list. Do you ever go to the mall and just kind of like wander around till like the right thing strikes you? No, that's kind of like my last.
I honestly haven't done that in like it had to have been like 10 years at least since the last time I've gone to a mall.
Period.
It's like, yeah, I'm just one of those people. I go to a mall and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't like it either, but it's like sometimes I'll just end up at like, like say it's my mother. Like I can't find a good Christmas gift for my mother. And I'll just like be standing in front of Williams and Sonoma and be like, oh, you know what? Maybe a nice knife set. Like, and that'll give me, like as opposed to staring at Amazon or something.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult to like just think of ideas for people. But like, for some reason, just wandering around a store, like even Macy's or something like that, where it's like a variety, like a department store, like it'll help me like just get the juices flowing for gifts. And I like to give good gifts. Like it's kind of, I don't like to I like them to be thoughtful, and I like them to be, I like them to demonstrate how much I care about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks.
I'm sending one to
I'm never gonna use this. Thanks.
Yeah. I always also give receipts. I always get gift receipts, and I always give them to the person. And I always make it very clear, like, you're not going to insult me if you return this, because I'd rather you spend my money on something you actually want than something you're just going to throw in a closet somewhere and never think of again. Because every time, like one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten was a Leatherman multi-tool that my mother had given me when I went to college. And I treasured it because it was a really useful thing that I used all the time. And every time I pulled it out of its little pouch, I'd always think of my mother and how she gave it to me. So it was like, that's my aspirational gift giving scenario. I don't know if I've ever hit it, but that's where I'd like to be.
I've given gifts in the past that I thought were very thoughtful and I've overspent a little on, and then I like give them to the person and they're like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. I spent all this time trying to find the perfect gift.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's a long time ago. But realistically, our family, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, they adopted this gift exchange model.
Oh, I like this.
So like if you think about it, like we're all adults. How often do we like need somebody to buy us something?
Yeah.
That we can't buy for ourselves. And it becomes incredibly difficult to find something for somebody that they haven't thought of or bought themselves.
Yeah.
So we do like it's kind of like a Secret Santa, but people know that you're buying for them. And we have like a $75 limit. There's no use in overspending. So we kind of spend $50 to $75 on one person. It's all for one person. And, we all generally would get together and like exchange gifts, like open one at a time and spend time and have dinner and all that kind of stuff. And just, it was more about quality time than the actual gift aspect, at least for my family. And that's worked out really nice, but we still buy gifts for all the kids. And my wife's family actually just started doing the gift exchange thing a few years ago. But before then it was like just chaos. Like her family buys gifts for everybody, and I remember my first Christmas there, like, I had a bunch of stuff in front of me, and I was just sitting there patiently waiting, waiting for somebody to open a gift at a time, like my family used to do, and do it for, like, a few hours,
Yeah.
and it was like, "Alright, everybody go." It's like just like everybody, like, pointing, I got this, thanks for this, thanks for that," and I'm like, It's over? I don't what happened?" It's like, "It's over in, like, 10 minutes." I was like, "That was" I don't even know if the person opened my gift. They're like, "Oh, yeah, it was great, thanks." I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's weird."
That
So odd.
sounds like too much. I like your idea or the one gift
Gift
for
exchange thing.
like kind of the Secret Santa thing. That's smart. So it's been actually a heck of a 2 weeks in like the retro game news sphere.
Yeah, lots of
Like
stuff.
all sorts of stuff is going on. We have notes, which is insane.
It's a long list.
It is a long list. So we want to just like jump into the retro news.
Yeah, do you wanna explain why your back hurts first?
I don't know, because I'm old.
The first thing we get in call, the first thing he says to me is like, "Oh, my back hurts so bad today."
It does. I was literally like, I was walking up the stairs to come to the office, and I sat down in the chair. I'm like, do I have to call Jay right now and say we need to delay the show because I cannot like sit in this chair?
Oh, no.
And like for the first 5 minutes, I was like, I might have to just like call it off. But like as I kind of sat here, I kind of found a good position where it doesn't hurt, like with my arm leaning on the table and that kind of thing. So I think I get through the show, but yeah, I don't know like why it just hurts. Like I heard it like a year ago at this point,
Okay.
and it's been slowly healing, but every once in a while I still have a bad day.
Can you take Advil or anything for relief?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I'm on I'm on a Advil high right now, yeah.
Yeah. I take cocaine, actually.
Shouldn't be laughing at that. If you lived in Oregon, you wouldn't go to jail for it at least.
Perfect. I love Oregon. It's raining all the time, but who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay. I've been playing a lot of video games, not a lot of retro video games this week because we're kind of still in that we're in that like super release period of brand new video games. So I've been playing like a lot of Cyberpunk, Destiny, what else? Demon's Souls for the PS5. But we did play a little Darkwing Duck, and we'll talk about that later. So let's do it. Let's do some retro news.
Yeah, so we talked about this. I remember it might have even been the first or second show. We had mentioned that Street Fighter 2, there was going to be a documentary getting worked on or something.
Yeah.
And they just released the Kickstarter for it. It is up. And the name of it is called Here Comes a New Challenger. And the thing that I found interesting about this, like, you look at like, oh, somebody's making a video game documentary, like how good could it possibly be? And then I like looked at the list of people that were involved, and it's a serious list. Like former Capcom employees, people that worked on the Street Fighter movie, like actors, developers from the games, and all sorts of stuff are involved in this. So it's not just like a basement dwelling type documentary. It's going to be like a serious documentary about the arc of Street Fighter 2, and it's interesting that it focuses specifically on Street Fighter 2. It'll be interesting to see if they like talk about any of the competitive scene and all that kind of stuff, but it looks interesting. So, and they already have a good chunk of change raised already, and I don't think it's been live that long.
It's got 18 days left to go, and they're at $10,000 out of their $33,000 goal.
At about a third.
I think I'll back this though. They've only got 37 backers.
37 backers and 10, almost 11 grand.
Yeah,
that's somebody.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna back this because I'd like to see this. I like this model of making content. Is like, hey, we've got this idea. Here's how much money we need. Help us make it. Like I think it's a great idea. As long as you don't go into it with the expectation that you're going to receive some kind of special product, or like understand that you are developing something, you're funding something, you're not investing in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're just tossing people some dollars to get it going. You're not necessarily like, I see a lot of, especially in video games, I see a lot of people getting pissed off about kickstarting things that get delayed or the scope gets changed. Like, hey, like you're not the developer. You're just a guy who gave them a few bucks hoping that you'd get a free game at the end of it, you know?
It's the same thing with like pre-orders and stuff too.
Pre-orders is different. Pre-orders, you're giving somebody the money in expectation of getting the product that they are promising to deliver. I feel like a Kickstarter is a little different. Like, here's what we're gonna do, but we're not promising. Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, they do promise you something from a Kickstarter. I don't know. Maybe it's not that different. Maybe you're right.
I mean, I see where you're going. It's more of like an independent, like, you know, your support can fund different parts of it, like DLC or like little bonuses and like the level of support and stuff. And you're choosing the reward that you want. You know, if you want more of an involvement with it, maybe you want your name in the game or whatever. You know, with the Kickstarter. But this Street Fighter one actually has a Blu-ray version, and it's £40, which says about $54. So you get like the Blu-ray, you get a digital copy of the documentary, digital soundtrack, behind the scenes videos, and name in the end credits for $50.
Yeah. So. Name in the end credits. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
My name on Kickstarter is going to change though. If I
What is your name on Kickstarter?
I don't know. It's going to be, I think, like something that has to do with dicks.
Mike Oxlong.
Penis 2.
You're that guy when you got a high score in a arcade that just put like ass.
100%. I am absolutely that guy.
Did you see the picture of the? I mean, it's not some of the pictures. If you scroll to the top of the documentary thing, Here Comes a New Challenger. Some of those characters are pretty creepy. Dalsim looks like he's having a hernia.
Yeah, that art isn't my favorite, but
Zangief is really pushing one out there.
Yeah, he's really grunting down, bearing it.
Really serious.
Yeah, that art isn't my favorite. The one below that too isn't my favorite. But you know, that's not what I'm looking for out of a movie about Street Fighter's art. I just want to hear the stories about the creation and everything.
Right.
I really love Street Fighter too, and all the Street Fighters after that, really. So any kind of documentary like this would be really interesting.
Yeah, before we owned the Super Nintendo, our reward for getting good report cards was to rent the Super Nintendo from Blockbuster. And we could rent one game with it for like a week or something.
Oh. And
my brother and I would always get Street Fighter 2 as our game because it was like the game that we could play together. And it was, I mean, he'd kick my butt sometimes and then I'd beat him. And, you know, he's 5 years older. So me beating him in a video game was pretty satisfying. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 was our jam for that.
Who was your character? Who was your favorite?
Ryu, for sure.
I like Blanca a lot, but I'm much better with Ryu or Ken. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Blanca. Theoretically he's my character, but I can't actually beat anybody with him.
Yeah, just sit there and tap the B button over and over.
When I used to play a lot, like when I was a kid, I got pretty good with Zangief or however you say it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do it anymore, and I think I've just forgotten all of those skills.
Yeah.
What else we got? Fire Emblem?
Yep. Fire Emblem has on Switch for $5.99. You can get Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, and it is actually the first Fire Emblem game ever released, and it was released in Japan for the Famicom in 1990. There's also a physical version of this that has like a collector's edition for $50, but it's sold out everywhere and it's already like getting sold on eBay for $70 to $100. So, not really a great game, not a well-received or well-reviewed game, but it's one of those things like if you really enjoy Fire Emblem and you never got to experience it, then you know it's there for $6 on the eShop. So
This game only came out in Japan originally in 1990.
Correct.
So
There,
did they have to translate it for this release?
yeah. So there's a localization for this one, and I don't know if they were talking about Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon for the DS as being like one of the things that kind of was an extension of this game. I mean, it's obviously not the same game, but there was some mention, so I'm guessing that's what they were talking about was the DS version. But this specific version of this game has never been released in the US. They did add some conveniences like save states and some speed up stuff and a couple of different areas where the enemies were a little bit like more cohesive, but for the most part, it's pretty true to the original.
I feel like save states and speed up, like a button to speed the game speed up, that's like table stakes right now. Like if you're gonna re-release like old video games, specifically like of that era, NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, I feel like that is table stakes. You have to, otherwise, like why wouldn't you just get a ROM instead? You know,
Right.
I don't know. Actually, for $6 on the eShop, like I don't really have any much interest in Fire Emblem, but it'd be kind of cool just to check it out, see where it started. And $6 is so cheap that why not?
I've never been a huge Fire Emblem
coffee.
fan, but I know a lot of people really enjoy it.
Yeah. Speaking of old video games, Capcom Arcade Stadium's coming to the Switch as well in February. This is a weird pricing model, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they were just releasing them in separate packs.
Yeah.
I don't know what the pricing is on them. Did you see anything about it?
I couldn't find pricing. So you could download the Arcade Stadium for free, and with the free Arcade Stadium comes one game. It's like 1941 or something. And then you have to buy the packs of games, and there's 3 different packs, each with 10 games in it, and they're kind of spread out over years. So like they don't necessarily, it's not like all fighting games or all shooting games. It's like here's the games that came out between these 3 years, and here's the game that came out between these 3 years, and so on. So like for instance, Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 2 are in 2 different packs. But to be honest, like I would have preferred that they just released this as like, here's a $30 thing, you know, and you get all these games, and I would have bought it absolutely. And if it ends up being about that price, I'll probably buy it absolutely anyway, because this just seems like a cool thing to have on my Switch.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about virtual console stuff on the Switch. I mean, I don't even know if Nintendo in general, if you think about the Wii U or the Wii, has really ever had many like packs like this. I mean, they've had virtual console, which they still don't really have on the Switch yet.
Yeah.
They do have the SNES and the NES catalog. You can play if you have the online stuff, which they're always adding games to.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. This kind of thing, the way that they're doing it reminds me of the 360. You remember when they had the 360 arcade where you could go in and put in quarters in order to play these games and stuff like that?
That was weird.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's not going to be like that. But
that didn't last long. Yeah. It looks like, so for instance, you could get the Arcade Stadium Pack 1, which is called Dawn of the Arcade, and it's from 1984 to 1988. And it's got Vulgus, Pirate Ship, Higemaru, 1942 Commando, Section Z, Tatakai Nobanka, Legendary Wings, Bionic Commando, Forgotten Worlds, Ghouls and Ghosts. There's like 4 or 5 games in there that I'm interested enough to pay, let's say $10 for.
Yep.
If it's any more than $10 though, it's like it gets hard to like, because really, how much time are you going to put into these games?
Like, I think $10 is probably the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the other packs are actually more interesting to me personally.
Right. It's because it's mostly Nintendo stuff. I think at that point.
Maybe. Well, these are all arcade games, though.
Right.
Like the 92 to 01, that's almost 10 years of arcade games, but it's only 10 games. Warriors of Fate, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Powered Gear, Strategic Variant Armor, Cyberbots, 19XX, which is actually a cool game, Battle Circuit, Giga Wing, another cool game, 1944, The Loot Master, and then Pro Gear. So that's actually interesting. You get 2 Street Fighter games, a couple of cool shooters. I like these games.
Is 19XX like 1942, 1943? Is it one of those?
I believe so. I think it's like more in the future though.
Okay. I haven't heard of it or played it, to be honest.
If I'm thinking of the right game, it's like 1944, but it's like more futuristic.
Gotcha.
If I'm thinking of the right game, which obviously I am old and decrepit.
So a lot of these have NES versions.
Yeah.
And Super Nintendo versions. I wonder how much different the arcade versions are.
Well, in some cases, very different. Like, looking at the difference between Street Fighter on the SNES and in the arcade, there's some huge differences, right? Strider is another one. You could play a very good version of Strider on the Genesis, but the arcade version was a leap. Obviously, you could get that kind of power in the home at the time.
Right.
Ghouls and Ghosts, that's another big one. You can play Ghouls and Ghosts on the Genesis or Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo, but the arcade version is a lot better.
Those games are tough, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Ghouls and Ghosts, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depending on the pricing, almost as long as this is like under $50, I'm definitely going to get it. I'd love to get a physical copy of it. But
if they were like $6.99 a pack or $5.99 a pack or something like that.
Yeah. If they had a physical copy of it, though, I'd easily buy it for $50. But it doesn't sound like that's the model.
Maybe that's something that Limited Run could do or something.
Yeah. Yeah. What else we got?
So I saw a little bit of it, the Papyrium or Papyrium stuff.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
I'm going to let you talk about this.
This was basically a Kickstarter for a brand new Genesis game that would come out on a Genesis cartridge that I think originally, I'm going to actually bring up the article. So Retro RGB did a long article on this, and I'm just going to bring up their article to get the facts out of it. But they originally, I believe the Kickstarter went up in 2011 or 2012 with an advertised, 2012, with an advertised release date of September of 2017, and they actually had a release party then, like a launch party in 2017.
We did it! Yeah. Wait.
And like the hype around this thing has actually been pretty high. If you look at video of this game, it's spelled Papyrium. It's kind of like one of those side-scrolling brawlers, kind of like Final Fight or Street Fighter, or not Street Fighter, like Streets of Rage. But graphically, it's outstanding. Like it really looks amazing. So the game is finally coming out, but the pricing is crazy. It's like $170 for a cartridge. So I don't know if there's going to be like a Switch version, or like they'll sell it on like some kind of ROM, like on Steam or something, because I don't want to pay that for a cartridge, to be honest with you. Even though I'm sure on the secondary market it'll go crazy. But
yeah, there was some conversation with the company about like, why are they selling it for 170? And the general idea was that, they believe that since it was going for that much on the secondary market, that they should be able to capitalize on the perceived value of the game, which, I can't fault them from a business standpoint, but it seems like a game that's been in development for so long. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it seems pretty shady to me, but I'm not buying it. That's all I got to say about it. It looks good, but at that price, come on, get out of here.
I wonder, if you think about games from 20, 30 years ago with inflation, what costs they'd be now.
Yeah.
Like a brand new Nintendo or Genesis game, wouldn't it? You think it'd be about that price?
Yeah, I bet you're not far off there. Back in I think Strider cost me about $80 buying it new at this game store, and that came out in like 1990. So probably with inflation, it's probably right around this price. But still, like,
I'm grasping at straws here.
It just it feels greedy to me. Is that like, well, the secondary resellers are going to sell it because we're not going to sell it for this because we're not going to make it enough to satisfy demand anyway. So, like, well, why don't you just produce more, sell enough to satisfy demand? Then the secondary market won't be there, at least not for a while.
Right.
I don't like it. It seems very cyberpunk to me.
And it is set to officially release tomorrow.
Yeah. And only via cartridge, right? Like, there's no digital version of it at all that I can find. The game only works on an original Sega system.
Interesting. We'll see. I imagine next week we'll be talking about the reception of this game.
Yeah,
Once
probably.
people have it in their hands.
Yeah. And we'll probably be on eBay trying to buy a secondhand copy.
It's the best thing I've ever played. It made my 2020. I can't imagine life without it. Shit.
There's also, I thought this was kind of cool, a new aftermarket Sega Nomad battery pack, which is like a rechargeable battery pack. This is like a 3D printed thing from Laser Bear Industries, which they make really cool stuff. But like, if you've got a Sega Nomad, you obviously don't want to be putting AAAs into that anymore. So you can just pop this thing in. It's actually smaller than the original rechargeable battery pack. And, it is what it is. I just think it's cool that people are still making like aftermarket accessories for things like the Sega Nomad.
It still uses like batteries, though. You still have to put. It looks like they have a couple of 3500 mAh, like lithium-ion rechargeable batteries in there, but they look like AA's to me.
They're not. They're a little different than AA's, I believe.
They're like thicker. They're bigger.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of neat. Laser Bear Industries. I bought I have an RGB SCART switch. It's I believe it's seven inputs and 2 outputs, and it's one of those things that it's a circuit board with 2 plexiglass covers and screws that kind of mount it. And Laser Bear makes like a kind of a border that goes around it just to keep the dust out from getting in the middle. Like, they make that kind of stuff. It's really niche, but it's always really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it always 3D printed?
Yeah.
Do you own a Nomad?
No. I'd like to.
Yeah. They have backlit ones.
I think it was originally backlit.
Was it?
Yeah, like the Sega Game Gear.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sure the screen, like, by today's standard, is just not that great, but
probably needs to be replaced or have capacitors replaced or something like that.
I still got to fix my Game Gear.
I've been like, if you want one to tinker with, I've been seeing them on eBay for like $20-$25, like
a Nomad
as is. No, Game Gears.
Oh, I have a Game Gear. I just got to fix it.
Well, you said last time that you didn't want to tinker with your childhood one and mess it all up. So,
okay.
I remember.
So SNK on Twitter announced a brand new console is coming from SNK in 2021. A system to bridge the needs between passionate fans and console gaming enthusiasts. And then they have an image with the SNK and Neo Geo logos in the top right, and it says, "Who is the best player?" And above the W, there's like a little Wi-Fi symbol.
So it's going to be like all of their like multiplayer stuff that you can play online.
It seems like, right? It seems like it's going to be a Neo Geo console that has Wi-Fi. And then it's going to be like a plug and play online.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would like take cartridges. I imagine it's just going to be like a all-inclusive plug and play kind of situation where you just plug in the Ethernet or Wi-Fi and then plug it into your TV with a controller of some kind.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, they've done a bunch of stuff in the past. They did the Neo Geo X, I believe it was called, which looked like a replica of Neo Geo from the 90s. Even had the big arcade stick controllers. They did the Neo Geo Arcade Stick. I think that was only 2 years ago they made that. And that was one of those like HDMI devices. It's a big arcade stick, but it's got a long HDMI cable that you just plug into a TV. And then all the games are stored on the stick itself.
Right.
So that's my guess. Is it something? It's that thing with a new form factor and Wi-Fi, so you can play online.
I mean, for a lot of fighting fans, that could be really good. But I guess the one qualm is going to be latency.
Yeah.
Because you think about the people that are very passionate about those kind of games, or every little millisecond counts
Yeah.
with how you're performing in those things. So, I mean, for like a generalist or like a somebody that's not like hardcore about it, is probably not going to be a big deal. But who are the people that are going to be buying this thing? I guess.
Yeah. There's got to be some kind of underlying like program too to like, because those are by definition local multiplayer games. Like, if let's say you're playing like King of Fighters 99, like how is it? There's got to be some kind of program that's pretending to be player 2 on your system, and then you're pretending to be player 1 on their system, right? Like, and it's got to go through Wi-Fi. So that program has got to be, what is that? Like, how does that even work?
I mean, I can't imagine once they figure that part out that it's too difficult to replicate. But
Yeah.
the input delay from that communication, I think, could be a huge issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. Especially if you're doing it over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Versus plugged in.
Yeah. Most people's Wi-Fi is not good. My Wi-Fi is not good. I have everything plugged in via Ethernet cables because I can't. Like, this house is just built in such a way that Wi-Fi is really hard to.
Why did they build the walls with like tin foil for the entire thing?
So I live in a house. The house I live in now was the house that my wife actually grew up in. But when I met her, I was living in a house that was built in 1910, and the walls were the old like plaster, and under the plaster was basically chicken wire to make the plaster stick to the walls. So like, I complain about the Wi-Fi in this house, but in my last house, it was really bad.
Man,
I don't know. I'm excited about this. Anything from SNK. Although there was that news recently that SNK was recently like a huge portion of it was bought by this Saudi Arabian prince who's apparently not a great guy.
That sounds like one of those emails. Send me your company and I'll send you $88 million.
I mean, SNK has had tough business, tough road of it since the 90s.
Sounds like a good deal. I'm in.
There was I guess a rumor too that this thing could be shaped like the tank from Metal Gear. Metal Slug.
Oh, the console. Okay.
Yeah. Which I would kind of like, a Metal Slug shaped tank in my
That'd be cool.
In my gaming area. Panzer Dragoon, the remake, is coming out on PS4 via limited run this Friday. So I think it's already out. You can buy the digital version on the PS4. This was previously Switch only. It had a launch window exclusivity deal on Switch, so they already sold it through limited runs physically on the Switch, but now the PS4 version, it will be available, which is probably going to be better, to be honest, the high res 4K version of it.
I'm always curious. I have not played any of limited run stuff like on new generation systems, so I'm curious, like, how much do they tinker with the original format of stuff? Do they up-res it? Do they change anything major, or is it just like a port?
So they didn't make this. This is I'm struggling to figure out who the actual developer of this was.
So this is like a new game.
This is a new game. It's a remake of Panzer Dragoon.
Right.
And it got decent reviews on the Switch. Not great reviews though. A lot of people complained about there's like input lag on the Switch version.
Oh.
So that's why I ended up not picking it up, because especially on the Switch, like if you're going to buy a physical copy, you want it to be good. You don't want to have to update it.
Right.
And I don't know how much they updated that to actually fix it. And I don't know how good this version is. I am interested to see it. I have been playing a little bit of Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is an Xbox game. It came out in like 2001 or 2002. Because that got a 4K HDR upgrade for the Xbox Series X, and it looks fantastic. So now I'm kind of looking at this again, thinking, maybe I should pick it up for the PS4.
That's crazy to me that they're going back and like refreshing original Xbox games.
Yeah, it looks really good, Jay. Like surprisingly, that game was pretty gorgeous on the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
But now with this upgrade, because it runs at 4K now, so it still looks like an old game, but it looks like a much better looking old game.
Yeah, it's like the up-res version of Super Mario 64 on the Switch kind of thing.
Yeah,
a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, like all the art is still the original resolution, but all the polygons are now, natively 4K.
Polygons.
It looks really nice. I don't know. I might pick this up. It's coming out in 2 days. What else we got? Oh, this one's cool. Cyber Shadow got a release date. So Cyber Shadow is the new game by Yacht Club, the guys who make Shovel Knight. That's coming out on January 26th. So this one is very, very much influenced by Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I was like, I'm looking at the trailer. This looks like just the animation of him slashing and stuff. That looks like a Ninja.
Yeah, it looks really good. And even like the cutscenes in the middle of it, like everything about it looks very Ninja Gaiden. But it's got that Yacht Club kind of touch to it. It looks like a modern NES game or a modern Super Nintendo game.
You know what it looks like to me? If Ninja Gaiden and The Messenger and Super Metroid all had a baby, this is what it would be. It has like all the levels and the bosses look like Super Metroid to me.
That's a lot of my erogenous zones you just diddled.
It's just a digital release, right? This seems like something that Limited Run should put a release out of. Like
they will eventually. I know that they with Shovel Knight, they didn't want to do a physical release until they did all the DLC and everything. Mm-hmm. But now you can get Shovel Knight at Best Buy, right? You can buy like the
Treasure Trove.
Yeah. At least you could. I don't know if you still can get it.
You can. Yeah, I think you can pick it up at game stores. I know that they have it on like GameStop and stuff. That game looks dope. Actually.
Yeah, that game looks super good, and it's totally like that retro. It's that same retro style that they went for in Shovel Knight, but obviously it's modeled after different games. I got so many tabs open now, I can't see my notes.
January 26th. All right.
January 26th. Yeah, so that'll be right around the corner. But obviously, if you want the physical release, you'll have to wait longer. And the last story we have is about ray tracing on the Super Nintendo. So these guys figured out how to get hardware, an expansion chip. So Super Nintendos and Nintendos had chips on the cartridges that would add capabilities to the game, like the FX chip that allowed for 3D graphics in Star Fox, right? So these guys figured out an expansion chip that would allow for real-time ray tracing on the Super Nintendo. They have video for it. If you look up @CarterBen on Twitter, he's got video for it, and it looks actually kind of good for a Super Nintendo.
It looks like one of those original 3D modeling videos from the PC from like 1990.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like one of those when you'd have like a graphics card test. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like it's got the shiny chrome balls and all the different shapes.
But they're all doing the ray trace reflections and stuff like that. So it's like it looks a hell of a lot better than Star Fox.
The resolution is 200 by 160.
Yeah, that's the resolution of Super Nintendo, isn't it?
Yeah, my question is why?
Why not? Damn it.
Like, I mean, what's the potential here? Like, what are they going to do with that on Super Nintendo? I mean, Super Nintendo is my favorite system of all time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why?
because they could, I think. I don't know if they'll ever like release a game that uses this, but it's like technically it's impressive. You know, maybe it's like a project like to prove technical prowess to get a job later. I don't know. I don't know why you would do this, but it looks cool as hell. And apparently you can do it on a FPGA as well, so you could potentially program Mister or like a mini NT to do this.
So as far as like quality in the timeline, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is this as good as N64? I don't think so. Not quite.
I mean, the 3D is definitely not as high quality, but I mean, N64 certainly didn't have ray tracing. And if Cyberpunk has taught us nothing, it's all about ray tracing.
Let's Cyberpunk on the SNES with ray tracing.
It would look technically better than it does on the Xbox. I'm going to reply to this tweet. Can it run Cyberpunk?
But like, maybe I'm just old and staunchy and I just don't understand the why.
I just think it's cool that somebody was able to do it. I mean, if you look at the tweet, it looks cool.
I want to see them do something with it, though. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see something.
You want to see an actual game?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I want to see a game or just try to think of how we can apply this technology to Super Nintendo. Like, could this make our current games look better? Like, if we had some kind of like a Super Game Boy, but for SNES games that can make our game. I don't know. Just speculating.
I don't know.
Anyways,
this very well could be the last you ever hear of this.
You remember that time there was ray tracing on SNES?
In 2020.
50,000 views on that video.
Hey, people have been stuck at home. They got a lot of extra time on their hands, you know?
Oh, did you see the picture of the RTX 30, looks like a 3080 or 3090 duct taped to a Star Fox cartridge?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Practical application.
So yeah, that's the retro news from the last 2 weeks. Honestly, like there's some cool stuff happening, you know, like the Capcom Arcade Stadium, depending on the prices, is cool. Papyrium, I don't know, we'll see. The Neo Geo console, anytime Neo Geo does anything, I'm always kind of looking like I'm just kind of a fan of the Neo Geo.
I enjoy their stuff too. I don't really own much of it other than a handful of their games, but my question is like, how are they still in business?
I think it's just the fight. Well, they just did release the new Samurai Showdown. That was last year. And that sold pretty well. I think it was pretty popular. It's a damn good game. I bought it on the PS4, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So they are making new games still. But, you know, they also sell a lot of their old stuff on the Switch in the eShop. And, you know, they make stuff like what they announced here is, you know, they made the Neo Geo X. They made the arcade stick last year. You know, this stuff is popular. I think they even have like one of those half-size arcade cabinets that costs about $500. It just came out last month. So, like, you know, the hardcore fans are still definitely into this stuff. And even, like, casual fans buying stuff on Switch. And they're picking up new fans with stuff like the new Samurai Showdown.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's a really hardcore community that's been behind Neo Geo and stuff for a long time. But just from, like, a consumer marketplace kind of perspective as, like, a general whole, it's because they've put out a bunch of, like, hardware that I don't really ever hear a lot about, like little things and accessories that seem like they're very niche.
Yeah, I think that's what this community is, though. It's like you put something out and it's going to sell, let's say 1,000 to 20,000, and you're pretty much going to satisfy everybody who wanted one. You know, and in 2 years, you'll be able to sell it for double what you paid for it because they don't make it anymore. But if you just keep doing that, like I'll be honest with you, if they sold a USB arcade stick that is exactly like the one that originally came with the Neo Geo for $100 tomorrow, I would buy it, like 100%. I would hook it up to my Mister, and I'd be sitting there playing Neo Geo all day with like an original Neo Geo arcade stick, but it's USB. So like that kind of stuff, like, you know, and they're not going to sell 1 million of those, but they would sell, I don't know, like a bunch of them. And if there was enough profit margin built in, you could just keep making stuff like that, and you know, who knows? And then plus they're still making new stuff. We'll see what this Saudi Arabian prince does, but
they must have. I mean, like, I got to give them credit for as long as they've been around. They must have really like smart business practices, like, you know, not overstepping their market and stuff.
Yeah, I guess, right? They got hardcore fans. You know, the King of Fighters fans are huge. You know, they got big hardcore fans. Yeah. All right, Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm like getting ahead of myself in my brain.
Okay. So you didn't get a chance to play this, right? You watched your wife play it a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, like, I used to play it back in the day. I have the NES and the Game Boy cartridge right here.
Oh, okay. You mentioned, I think on Twitter the other day too, that they also made a TurboGrafx 16 version of the game.
Found out about it. Yeah.
It's not the same game. It's developed.
No.
I don't know. Actually, is it developed by Capcom?
I don't think so. No.
It's a bad game. It's a really shitty game.
For $100.
When I looked it up, yeah, it's about $100 to get, like, not in box, just a turbo card. When I looked it up online to see, because I've only seen it once, and I saw it right away. I'm like, oh, the Angry Video Game Nerd did a video. This is gonna be a shitty game, and it was. But the NES version is not a shitty game. It's oh, shut up, Siri. It's a good game. It's not a great game. It's not as good as like the other Capcom Disney collaborations from the NES. But it's competent. Like, it's fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, if you like games like Mega Man and you know, things like that it's modeled after, it's definitely a solid. Some of the mechanics, I feel like if some of the controls were a little tighter, it would probably feel better.
Yeah.
You know, the fact you can't fire when you're running and stuff is weird.
Yeah.
To me.
It feels, you know, a lot of those Capcom Disney collaborations for the NES, they felt like wholly original games. They felt really like there was a lot of time and effort, especially in the art, but also in the gameplay department. And this one, I don't know, it just feels like a second tier below that. Not quite. It's not a bad game, but it's not like a Rescue Rangers or I don't know, a DuckTales, right? It's not up to that level. It's certainly not a bad game. Is it an expensive game?
Card only, it's in the 40-45 range.
Okay. That's not
But
awful.
I mean, that's more expensive than all the other ones. It's more expensive than DuckTales and Rescue Rangers and
is it
stuff, so
the cartoon was kind of like that too, wasn't it? It was kind of like it wasn't ever a tailspin. It wasn't, I mean, yeah, as popular as some of the other ones.
Just like, it's kind of dark and ominous, and when we were kids, like, most of the stuff was just like, hey, you know, we're Rescue Rangers and DuckTales, and there just wasn't the whole like dark menacing characters for kids all that much. So it was, yeah, he was almost like this like disturbed character.
Was he
troubled? You know, I don't know.
I don't know that I ever watched the cartoon, to be honest. Now
you didn't ever watch it.
I don't know if I did.
Yeah. Let's get dangerous. He's like the Daredevil of the Disney cartoon world, I feel like.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It was an okay game. Like, I don't feel compelled to go back and finish it. I played it for a couple hours and it was okay. It feels Mega Man-ish. It feels but it doesn't feel as fleshed out. It doesn't feel as tight. It doesn't feel as like it's got like a level select, but it's got bosses, but you don't like take the bosses' weapons. It does have weapons that you can find in the level, but some of them are just not fun to use. And it kind of works like Ghouls and Ghosts, where every time you pick up a new one, you lose the last one. Also, you have energy like in Mega Man, where you only have so much energy you can use for the special weapons, so you can't even use them all the time. I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
I mean,
it.
most of the reviews were in the same boat, like 5, 6 out of 10 kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it's ironic too that the Game Boy version is actually better reviewed because it's like essentially a carbon copy of the NES version, but with improvements.
Oh, okay.
Like they took the NES version and most of it is better. Like they compacted some of the framing down a little bit because obviously you're on a smaller screen. Some of the jumps are a little bit tougher to make because of it, but um, the movement and stuff feels better. Uh, some things were a little bit more difficult, but the fact that they were able to get the NES version essentially the same game on Game Boy is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's always interesting when they do that. Um, you almost get extra credit when you're able to do that, right?
Right.
It's like a 6 out of 10 game. If you make it exactly the same, but on the Game Boy, which is far less powerful, then you get a little extra credit.
Yeah. That's it. So Game Boy games are, I mean, some of the early Game Boy games are pretty rough. So yeah, the
Yeah,
fact that the same hardware is able to do that on those other ones is pretty impressive.
yeah. Some of them are really good though. Like Bionic Commando was an awesome game on the Game Boy.
I don't think I ever played it on Game Boy. Played it on NES a lot though.
Yeah,
Darkwing Duck has some of those elements, the hanging and swinging. And
yeah.
did you look at that 2018 Darkwing Duck demo video at all?
No, I didn't.
You should click on that real quick. It's so the story goes in 2017 there was a company called Headcanon that developed this little demo of like a Darkwing Duck 2 or a remake of Darkwing Duck, and they pitched it to Capcom in 2018 and Capcom was like, "Nah." But if you look at the video, like the movement, the art, it looks pretty solid. Like, the sprites look nice. The level design is not fantastic, but it was I think it was like a teaser demo of like what they could potentially do to pitch to Capcom.
Yeah.
But Headcanon they're the co-developers of Sonic Mania. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
you know, if you think about the quality of game there, like we could have potentially had a new Darkwing Duck game, which there's never been a revival of that game, and I feel like now's the time, but Capcom was like, "Nah."
Is it the time? I mean, Darkwing Duck is like a secondary character from TV shows that haven't aired since like the 90s. Like
They
they'd have
made
to
a
go to
DuckTales
Disney and get the
remastered.
license again, right?
They made DuckTales remastered.
Yeah, DuckTales is way better known than this game.
Yeah,
This does look good though. You're right.
I don't know. Just I have a soft spot for like the underdog characters.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I could see Capcom's thinking here, right? It's like we'd have to go back to Disney to get the license again, or we'd have to work out a deal. Like Darkwing Duck is not like I hardly even know who he is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like aged out of this one. Maybe he was like super popular for like like the next generation.
I mean, like my generation, I think watched it quite a bit because it was part of the. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but and also Disney back then, you had to have a subscription to watch it, like HBO essentially. So the only time I got to watch some of this stuff was when they had free Disney weekends.
Oh, so
Um,
this wasn't on like CBS or NBC afternoon cartoons
I
or
mean, it
Fox or
might have
something.
been, but I think it was mostly on the Disney Channel.
That's probably why I never watched it because we never had the Disney Channel.
Trying to remember.
Because the rest of them were like Saturday morning cartoons, and then they got syndicated and they play them in the afternoons.
I mean, I did watch it a lot, so it's possible that it was on a normal channel. Now I have to look it up. Disney Channel and ABC.
Okay.
So I guess they did have it on ABC. But I mean, like it was part of like the Tailspin, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck.
Chat's making fun of me for being
Yeah.
old.
There was some loose, there's some talk about how Darkwing Duck related back to DuckTales and stuff, and there's some loose connections, um, in the game and in the TV show, but like it's one of those like multiverse kind of scenarios where it's like, are they actually part of the same universe? Is it kind of a different universe?
Oh, the pilot was in this one. What's his name? McLeod?
Sure.
Damn it, I forgot his
McLeod?
name. Yeah, he was also in Tailspin, the pilot.
Right.
No, he
But
wasn't in Tailspin. He was in DuckTales. The Baloo was the
Launchpad
pilot.
McQuack.
Thank you. Because Baloo was the pilot in
Yeah.
in Tailspin.
Everybody flew in Tailspin. The game is literally you're in an airplane.
Airplanes in Disney.
But Launchpad in Darkwing Duck was actually a good pilot. I read something that touched on this, and in DuckTales he was terrible as a pilot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, he was the good-looking idiot. Right? Like he was that character. Like,
reminds me of Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, totally. Launchpad McDuck. I used to like that show a lot. Yeah. Anything else we want to say about Darkwing Duck?
Some of the characters, weren't properly represented in the games. Like some of them were part of the Foul organization that weren't actually in the show. Darkwing Duck was actually used on a modified engine of Mega Man 5.
You can feel it too. It feels like Mega Man.
Yeah. And there was a point, it's like, Darkwing Duck doesn't wear pants. And I go back and I look at the pictures. I was like, holy shit, you're right. He's not wearing pants. Like everything else is completely covered, but he's going commando.
That's
like,
true with all the Disney ducks, though.
Some confidence, man. It's true.
Scrooge didn't wear any pants. Like the Huey, Dewey, and Louie didn't wear any pants.
Yeah.
Donald didn't wear any
What
pants.
shit were they into?
They're just free and easy, man. They're just living their best life.
Some of these characters, I mean, McLeod was wearing pants and stuff, and
McLeod had a huge hog. They couldn't say that on Disney.
Huge hog on it. Jesus Christ. All right.
It's a kid's show, goddamn.
Yeah, that's the end of the show. I'll see you later. Music was composed by Yasuaki Bun Fujita. That was his nickname, Bun, apparently, who was also the primary composer of Mega Man 3. And, with all these Disney Capcom games, like the music is really good for an NES game. Like they try to capture the original theme songs and the original like essence of it. And, it's solid music.
Yeah, they definitely tried to capture that theme song in this one.
Right. And then there's the Like, I'm going to end up freaking picking up that TurboGrafx game just to have it. Because
if I had more time this week, I was planning on playing a little bit of it just so I had, because, being apathetic about something doesn't make for good conversation. And that's kind of how I feel about the NES version. I'm like, it's okay. What are you going to say? It's like, it's not so bad that I can really dunk on it, but it's not good enough that I can rave and talk about it. It's just like, it's like almost as good as Mega Man 5.
It's just one of those games, like as a Disney fan, as a kid, like playing these Disney games is just nostalgic with the music and the ambiance, the characters, and
but if you don't have nostalgia for the character, then the game itself doesn't have a lot to offer you.
Yeah, I definitely remember this game a lot more pleasantly as a kid than I do now.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it's a fun game. Like I enjoyed myself while playing it. Like I wasn't yelling at it or anything. And there were some fun like parts of it. Like I did like the arrow weapon. It was fun to use because you can shoot it against a wall and then like use that as a platform to jump on, and that made for some interesting parts. It's fine.
It's fine.
But the TurboGrafx-16 version is terrible. Like it's really shitty. Like the hit detection doesn't work. The graphics look terrible. It should be better looking, in all honesty, than the NES version because it's on a more powerful system. But it doesn't look better. It looks way worse, and it's clearly just like a low effort game, right? It's like, just get this thing out of here as fast as possible, get our money and get out. Probably the best thing about it is the art on the box.
Right. No, yeah, it's cool. And I heard that the card is actually really cool looking too.
I think it's the same art as on the card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this thing around. I saw it one time for like $90, and I quickly like just Google searched it. Is this any good? No. All right.
Next.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, how much money did Disney and Capcom make from these games? It had to have been a bundle, but like, why have they not continued?
That's a good question. I don't know. Disney doesn't really do those characters like they used to, do they? Like, most of their stuff is now live action, kind of like tweeny, like kids shows, right? They don't make a lot of animated TV shows, at least not that I'm aware of.
I mean, they do, but it's not the same.
And like, they do still make video games based on their TV shows for like the DS and stuff like that. It's just not in my, like, maybe in 20 years there will be two dudes sitting around talking about like Ben 10 video games, you know? Is Ben 10 a Disney property? I don't even know.
I feel like they're games for really little kids, because there's like Disney Magical World. I mean, like, I know some adults probably like that stuff too. But there is some Disney video games out there, and of course there's Infinity, which it's like, Amiibo, which it's a really cool idea. And it's really fun for kids to like build and use their figures and stuff. I thought
Kingdom Hearts.
Cool idea. But Darkwing Duck got beat out by some character for Infinity, and it was just like, what? Like, they were gonna...
like there was like voting for who to bring into the game. Infinity was popular. I was surprised that went away.
Yeah, it was popular for a long time.
Money-making scheme.
Yeah, all of those real-to-life figures, though, are kind of on their way out, Skylit. Because, I mean, like, as a reseller, I actually would buy and sell a lot of that stuff. I literally have boxes and boxes and boxes of Skylanders, Disney Infinity Amiibo sitting out in the garage right now because... I mean, not Amiibo anymore, really, but some of the figures are worth a little bit now, but most of them are like, less than $1.
Beanie Babies.
For long? Huh?
They're like Beanie Babies now, just completely worthless.
Yeah, like I mean, some of them are certain ones, like the more recent ones are still going for a certain amount, but generally speaking, like, people are over it, I think, just as a whole. Like, even Amiibo, which... were huge for a long time, or on their way out.
Are they?
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Rock Band scenario where, it was hot for so long, Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and kind of just fizzled out.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's... I don't know. Did the games just like become less popular while they were making them, or did they prematurely like stop making the games?
Infinity?
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that the market dictates the demand and like whether or not they're going to make it again. They had trying to think of how many different versions of Infinity, at least 2, maybe 3. They had all the Star Wars stuff. Yeah. Basically every movie they've done has figures. At least the stuff from the last 20 years. I guess not everything, but a lot. Like, even like Inside Out has a set, and Finding Nemo has a set, and Toy Story has a set. I always just enjoyed having the figures. I couldn't have cared less about the games, But
I never played the game.
Yeah, I feel like they made so many figures to meet demand that just the market got flooded, and people they're like, I have everything that I could ever wanted, because like you see people's collections, they have like 200. Like, I have every figure, like Like, and then you just get to a point where like, I don't need all this stuff, and it's over.
What have I done?
Yeah.
What have I spent my money on?
I was that person, and now they're in boxes, and I don't know what the hell to do with them.
And we've got a ton of them. My kids were into the Skylanders for a bit, and it was a cool idea, like being able to have like a figurine of the video game, but they got sick of the video game, and then because the video games were really simplistic. The Skylanders video games were like super simple.
Yeah.
So they kind of aged out of that. Actually, to be honest with you, they just got sick of it. They didn't age out. They were still in the age range where it could have been interesting. And they started playing Minecraft and stuff, which was far more engaging. And once they lost interest in the game, there's no point to getting the figures anymore.
Yeah. I always thought that they could have done more with Amiibo. Like, really, Amiibo's best trait was the fact that you could get special outfits in games and stuff, and that was it. Like, there wasn't really much use for Amiibo. Like, there was no real reason. Like, it's like you put the thing on the pad, and you don't get to like play as that character. It's not like, Skylanders in that way. It was just like, oh, I get a hat now for Mega Man because I have the Mega Man Amiibo. Like, it's just weird. They could have done so much more with it, in my opinion. Amiibo are freaking cool, man. Having all those Nintendo figures, just of our past. I had the entire first set, like the first 32. I had them like all new in box and mint on a shelf. And then like, oh, we're releasing another 36. And I'm like, I'm done.
I'm not doing that again.
Keep up with this. No, yeah. I was like, I'm done. I can't.
I bought a few of them for for Breath of the Wild because you can use them to like get items in Breath of the Wild. And occasionally I've seen one that I like enough that I'm just like, oh, I just want that for on my shelf. Like I have the 8-bit Zelda, which is like just blocks of Zelda. And I just like that. I think it's just cool looking.
Yeah, I agree.
But they never offered anything to me. Like it's hard to have space to put that kind of stuff,
Right. They have an 8-bit Mario too, like that. Actually, they have multiple.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we think about Darkwing Duck.
Somehow got into. Go ahead.
What should we do for a game? Oh, we should probably actually before we talk about that, are we doing a show? We'll probably have to reschedule our show next time because it's gonna fall like right on Christmas.
29th?
29th. Oh, we can do a show. Are you okay with doing a show on the 29th?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll be fine. So what game should we do? I think we should have this conversation publicly.
Yeah.
So people can contribute in chat and whatnot.
So we did Home Alone 2 weeks ago, and now we did Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. I don't know if we should go along with another Christmas theme because that was our thinking with Home Alone, right? Was it Christmas themed?
Right.
Maybe we played that card too early.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like we should have swapped them.
TMNT would be a good one. Bullet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Turtles fan, so like, which Turtles would we do? Because they're all so different.
I wouldn't mind playing the original NES game because that was a game that I loved as a kid, and then as an adult found out that it was like hated on the internet because it was so difficult. Yeah, but I played it as a kid and I loved it. I was also a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan as a kid, so it'd actually be pretty fun to go back and like really. Like, was I blinded by the license when I was a kid? Is the internet right? What do you think?
I mean, it was a really tight game. I remember playing a lot of the first two. We had the first two, which are very different.
Yeah, the second one is more like the arcade game.
Right. It's like the beat 'em up style game. But the first one, I just remember like how difficult. I still probably have nightmares of the underwater level with the fucking the hangy
coral that
or
would
whatever
zap
those things
you.
are. Seaweed, like mother,
All right.
I also remember getting really confused in the first one, like just right off the bat of like where to go. Similar to the Star Wars game that we played.
Yeah.
It's like, where do I take my vehicle? Which sewer do I go down? So it'll be interesting to play through that as an adult for sure.
I think what we should do is we should not only pledge to play these games for the next episode, but place a gentleman's wager, so to speak, on who can get the furthest.
With no cheats or anything like that.
No cheats, yeah. Okay.
We should record ourselves just for confirmation.
Okay. All right.
Like we don't have to publish it or anything, just for.
Well, I'm definitely gonna be tweeting you how far I got.
I like that, you know, because that'll actually be motivation. Like, man, I really have to fucking play this game. I gotta beat Briar. Yeah.
I'm gonna tweet you a picture of the first level and say, "Can you beat it, Mr. New Dad?"
Are you gonna play the actual cartridge on an analog?
I do have it. Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do own that. I own the first and second game on the NES.
Yeah, I have 1, 2, and 3 on the NES, and then I have the Super Nintendo game, and I have the Tournament Fighter game for Super Nintendo, and I have Hyperstone Heist for Genesis, and I have like
Good, you got
I don't have Tournament Fighters for NES is like $100 cartridge, so I don't have that.
That's bad too, right? That's like a terrible game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I think it's like Clay Fighter fighting. It's just kind of there.
One of the Tournament Fighters is good, and one of them isn't. Right? Is the Super Nintendo one the good one, and the Genesis one is no good? Okay,
I would think so. But generally, bad games that didn't get received well are expensive
because they didn't sell.
Didn't make as many. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's an expensive part.
I do remember actually liking that game though, like because that was part of the Street Fighter craze, right? So
yeah, probably
let's make like a Ninja Turtle Street Fighter.
There's the Power Rangers fighting game that's kind of like of the same vein and stuff too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what'd you get? What'd you pick up this week?
I got a lot of things. You remember the story from 2 weeks ago about the lady with the uncle who had the storage unit and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So box 2 arrived like a week ago, and I have box 3 coming in a couple of days.
Okay.
That's got like she like split stuff up. But I bought it all at once, and she just like sent 2 packages. My next package has like an inbox Saturn with a whole bunch of other stuff coming.
We need like a separate scene for this with just like a big you and a little me so that you can actually show this stuff on the camera for people who are watching
I will
live
show it. I have like a box.
Maybe I'll set that up for next week so that we have like a separate scene that we can switch to for this portion of the show.
So I'll just kind of go through quickly because there's literally like 30 games here, and I didn't even put everything in here because it's just one of those situations where I kept feeding her offers and she kept accepting them like over and over and over and over again. I'm like, all right, whatever. So just I got such good deals on these, I couldn't pass them up, and I'm not going to keep all of it. Like I'll sell some of it, but I'm going to keep a good chunk of it. Maybe you can if you have any input on the games, let me know. Like you should definitely keep that one. That's a really good one. But like Shining Force 2 complete inbox for Genesis. It's got the manual and everything.
Oh, that's a cardboard box.
Yeah, this is the cardboard
so that
one.
Must be a late Genesis game.
RPG.
I've heard good things about Shining Force 1 and 2, but I've never played either one of them.
Phantasy Star has like a cardboard box like this. Some of them too, like Phantasy Star 4, similar in that way. So that's one of them. This one's a Japanese game, but I thought it was so cool that I had to get it because I shot him an offer and I was like, I can't not. Sonic Adventure 10-year anniversary. It's a Japanese, it's only Japan. Mm-hmm. And actually what's in here, I'll show you because it's really cool. They still have Sonic Adventure 2 sealed, but it's the Japanese version, but it's still sealed in its plastic.
Sealed like the Dreamcast version?
Yeah.
So 10 years after, so they came out with that in what, 2010?
No, it was 20. So we're in the 30 years, so 20 or 2000.
Well, Sonic Adventure came out in 2000.
So yeah, this is just like the 10th anniversary.
Oh, so it's the 10th anniversary of Sonic.
Right.
Not the 10th anniversary of that game. Okay, correct. That makes more sense.
Yeah. So, and then it came with like this little collector's thing that it has like, I think that's just like a music CD.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has this like a little collector coin thing in it. Which it was just really cool. It says, and it's stamped, it says 23rd of June, 91 to 2001, and then /future. I don't even know if they have like a 20-year thing like this. But it's got like a little art book that has like the history of Sonic and all that stuff. It's just, I just thought it was really cool. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to keep it. I think I got it for like 15 or 20 bucks. I was like, I'm keeping that.
Have you ever played that game? I think we've talked about it before on the
I
show.
haven't, but I'm literally about to show you in a moment that I picked up the first one, so it's on the list. I mean, I can do that right now. Sonic Adventure 1 for Dreamcast. Same seller, just like really good condition, complete.
Nice.
You know,
that is the game where Sonic starts going weird. It's like
that was the one.
It is the one, man. It is a weirdo game.
I think I got like 20 or 30 Dreamcast games coming from this person, so I'm just gonna quickly. I literally didn't put all the ones that I even have in this bucket. Like I was just gonna throw some in there. So there's more like, but just the notoriety ones, Unreal Tournament, Crazy Taxi 2. This is upside down. It's fine.
Oh shit! I played the hell out of Legacy of Kain,
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Yeah, I heard that's a good one. Alone of the Dark, which I've heard is a good one. This is actually a 2-disc one, which I didn't even know Dreamcast games really had 2-disc games all that much.
Yeah, the GD-ROM. Grandia
2.
I played that too. That game made me cry.
Oh, really? Like it's just emotional?
There's one character that has kind of a death that is unexpected. And I
really spoilers! Wow.
Legacy of Kain was dope though. Back in the day. I mean, now it looks like shit, but
somebody in chat told me that the other day too, actually. So, and I got currently three TurboGrafx games. I think I have like 8 or 10 coming.
Okay.
From the seller, I showed this on stream the other day, and somebody's like, "That's a horrible game."
Double Dungeons. Is that like a roguelike top-down game?
No, it's like a dungeon crawler, like Shadowrun type game.
Oh, like first-person perspective?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's content creators that have made videos on this game and just how terrible it is.
Well, then it's worth playing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta have context. Like,
yeah, right?
When people are calling like Destiny a bad game, you gotta be like, have you ever played Double Dungeon, motherfucker? It's all about context, which you think is a bad game.
Yeah, right? So here's Bomberman for TurboGrafx, which it looks like the Super Nintendo version, but look at that art.
Yeah, that's...
For anybody that's watching, it's awful. It's so awful, it's awesome. It's like, it looks like an Among Us character, but like with human eyes. It's just so weird.
They clearly were trying. The artist was trying to capture the pixel art, like of what a Bomberman looks like in the game, but also base it in reality with a human character inside that suit, and it just doesn't work.
And then here's one that you mentioned to me a while ago, actually, Kadash.
Oh yeah, that's actually a decent game.
Yeah, I've heard this is pretty good.
Yeah, that one's pretty expensive too.
Yeah, I got it for half.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's just the thing. Like, I just threw offers at like 40 to 50% on a lot of these, and they just kept accepting them. So that's the stuff. I mean, there's still more that I didn't show, like Choo Choo Rocket and Wacky Races for Dreamcast. I'm looking over there. But I was like, whatever. I got this for like $15, but it's one of my childhood favorite games, 1080 Snowboarding for the 64.
That game is still fun.
Yeah, in box. I remember playing this game so much I got to the point where I could do standing 1080s, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I've found the end of the game.
When I rebought an N64 this summer, that was one of the 3 games I wanted immediately. I wanted that one, I wanted Mario 64, and I wanted Rogue Squadron right off the bat.
Yeah. It's amazing how cheap 1080 is too. Like you can get it for less than $10.
Yeah, I think I paid $4.99 or something like that. Yeah. Mine's my label is a little fucked up, but that just gives it character.
Cart's seen some shit.
Yeah. Hey, just because it's a little fucked up looking doesn't mean it doesn't play okay still. Somebody's got to love it.
Sounds like the description of me in a nutshell.
The label's a little fucked up, but he's pretty much a nice guy.
All right. So we were just talking about this game, actually, Tailspin. Other than this chunk taken out of the box, it's in really good shape, actually. It's complete in box. I think I got that for like $20-25. It's hard to pass up like boxed complete games for that cost for me, to be honest.
I can't believe they're not more rare than they are. A
Right.
boxed NES game, because they were made out of cardboard. People didn't have the reverence for video games that they do now.
Right. Some of them really are though, really expensive cardboard. So,
Yeah.
so we did Star Wars a few, like it was over a month back at this point. I'm a little peeved because this person didn't have a picture, but Star Wars Empire Strikes Back for Super Nintendo, which it's arguably the best Star Wars game for Super Nintendo, or at all, period. But the thing about this is I didn't realize that there was an assembled in Mexico version. So I've talked to Briar about this before, and assembled in Mexico is something that was made by Majesco way after the fact as like a re-release. And even though this copy is in really good shape for what it is, just like assembled in Mexico games as a whole are awful. The build quality of the carts is terrible. The label is not glossy, so they scratch really easy. The manual's black and white. And I mean, I'm still happy with the price that I paid, but I just absolutely abhor getting, like, I just hate getting assembled in Mexico stuff. But it's in really good shape, and it was just a stock picture on the listing, so I had no idea there was an assembled in Mexico version. But now I know, and I'm going to be on the hunt for a made in Mexico or made in Japan version, which has the nice glossy label and all that stuff. But for $20, it's hard to complain.
That game's
Picked up a
fun though.
Yeah, I've heard good things about this one, so it got good reviews. So
The um I- I- the first one, Super Star Wars,
yep,
was released on the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4. I can't remember actually. And I remember playing it, and I was on a podcast called Revolver at the time, and I remember talking to those guys and saying, "This game sucks. Like, it's terrible. It's so hard too." And what I didn't realize at the time was that there was a ton of input latency built into that, because it was a emulation on the PlayStation of the
right,
Super Nintendo game. So I actually bought that game for the Super Nintendo and with a much lower latency setup, and I've been enjoying that game quite a bit. I played I don't know, I think through the first 3 levels in like the first couple of hours. And when I played the emulation version, I couldn't get anywhere in it.
hmm
It, it was surprising how much of a difference it made to play the actual version of it.
right. I mean, that's why analog is such a nice thing to have because it feels so true to life of
Yeah.
what the game is meant to be and how it's supposed to be played. So I traded in a ton of stuff at the game store a few weeks back, and I picked up. I'm gonna leave the best ones for last, but I picked up some smaller games for the Game Gear. We talked about Ninja Gaiden for the Game Gear before, and how it's a
Yeah.
completely different game.
Yeah.
It's essentially Shinobi for Game Gear or
Yeah,
something like
kinda.
that. So I picked that up. Want to check it out, and then or wait, I was thinking of the Game Boy version. This is actually closer to the Genesis.
It's still really different. You're wearing like this like blue outfit, and it doesn't control like the NES does. It's a different game.
Yeah. And then you probably recognize this one, Rizstar
Yeah, I recognize it. I never played it.
or Rystar.
Yeah.
I've heard some buzz about this game just in general, the Genesis version, and I figured,
Yeah, I
it
think people
wasn't
like the Genesis version. It's very colorful too. So it's like a
yeah,
good
good
graphical
platformer.
showcase for the Genesis.
Right, so it'll be interesting to check that out with the Game Gear adapter for the stuff. Um, Piece of hardware to show off. Now, sometimes with eBay, you gotta take chances. Sometimes the pictures are awful, but sometimes those are the best ones that you get because people don't want to take a shot. And you win some, you lose some, and this was a win for me. It was basically a picture of a Game Boy Advance, and I knew it was gold colored. And a really rare Game Boy Advance game, which I'll cover in a second. I had no idea if this Game Boy was like a real or if it was a refurbished one or anything like that. And it's a real one, and it's in really good shape. The Pokemon Gold New York Pokemon Center Game Boy Advance. It's not because a lot of these that you see right now are like refurbished where they put the cheap $10 shell on it that looks like this. But this is a real one. You can tell by the label on the back. It doesn't have the like just random Japanese figures and text and stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in pretty good shape. I mean, it's got a few nicks on it, but the screen is beautiful on this thing. Um, it's really nice. There's some like wear underneath the control pad and stuff, but really happy to pick that up.
It's
I've
well
been really
loved.
into Yeah, I've been really into picking up like old Game Boys and DS Lights and stuff like that, like just a handheld flurry for some reason. So that goes on the shelf. And then this, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or if you're a handheld guy at all, but Car Battler Joe.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Now, this is technically the most rare Game Boy Advance game that exists, and
Really?
it's about $100 for this cart. It came with the manual too, and it's a real manual. It's a real cart, and it came with the Game Boy, and I got all of it for $100, so I was pretty happy with it.
Oh, nice.
But I looked up the video on this game for Car Battler Joe, and it was weird. It looked like Twisted Metal for Game Boy Advance.
Oh, really?
Like it was like a really weird
Like
version of
3D
it.
art, or is it like that? Like
That's like top down 2D.
oh, like the original Grand Theft Autos.
It kind of looks like that, yeah.
Okay.
But you're like battling other cars and smashing them up and stuff and shooting them. It looks interesting. I don't know why it's so valuable and rare.
Hmm.
Sometimes I just don't understand. But so there's that. And then at the game store, like literally, I had a lot of credit, like a lot of credit. And they had a couple of holy grails there that I wanted to pick up for the Super Nintendo. So I don't know if you know much about the holy grails for Super Nintendo, but Final Fight Guy is on that list. These are real and authentic, and the label on this thing is absolutely pristine.
Tell me how much that is worth.
It's all over the place, and it really
Okay.
depends on the label. They priced this at $3.99,
Woo.
which I got a 5% discount on, and I had a ton of credit. So, and I generally the credit that I get at the game store, let's say I have $400 credit. I didn't spend more than 200 on that, like cash, just for like trading in stuff because of my flipping and all that stuff. But like the range of value on this game is anywhere between like 225 to 400. But this is like the cleanest label I've seen. And the story on Final Fight Guy is that it started as a blockbuster only release. So pretty much every blockbuster only release that's like a console game just is ridiculously expensive. Sculptor's Cut for N64 is in the $500 range now. Agani's in the $500 to $800 range now.
Oh my gosh.
And this is what that it started as a blockbuster only release. And then they had a very short, limited, like global release that you could buy, and it came in this like orange box, like a really small, like it looked like a Japanese Super Famicom box. It was kind of weird. Um, but yeah, so it's really tough to find a really nice copy because a lot of them are from Blockbuster,
Right.
and I assume this
So
one
they had
wasn't.
those awful stickers all over them, and
Right.
people were tossing them in down chutes to return them.
Yeah, but happy to put that on the list. This is like on the top 10 SNES valuable games, I think top 5, top 10. And then I'm adding the absolute holy grail of the SNES collection to mine. Some would argue that is Hagani, which I do own, but it's like super beat up, like the half of the labels ripped off. Um, but anybody that collects for Super Nintendo has heard of Aero Fighters.
Yeah.
And this is not a blockbuster release. It is just a really fucking fantastic shooter game that everybody wants, that there hasn't been very many of. And
Is that the one that's based off of the arcade game where you can select your characters?
I'm not sure. I honestly haven't played it.
Okay.
I just have looked at reviews and stuff of it. But this is on everybody's list. It's the value. I mean, like they had it priced at $669, but again, I had a ton of credit, and I got 5% off because I'm a
My
certain
word.
level. Yeah. But I mean, the value of this thing again is based on the label, and most of the labels that you see are beat to shit. And this one is pretty beat up too. It's got some bubbling on the top. Like eventually I'd like to get a nice copy of it, but you know, I had credit. They had a copy. It's a legit label. They had another one that had a relabel, which is like where they peel off the entire label and put on a clean aftermarket one.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that. Um, so I picked up the one that was a little bit beat up. And
$600.
yeah, so these range in value and have for the last decade between 5 and 800 depending on condition of the label.
Wow.
It's this one and Hagani are the two like super fucking expensive Super Nintendo games, and I know I own both.
I if I'm thinking of what the game that is, it's actually a really cool game.
Oh yeah, it's like it's not a block. It's like it's expensive because of how good it is and how like hard to find it is.
The Hagani is a good game too. It's hard as hell.
Yeah.
It's hard as nails, but it's good.
Yeah.
I
want to play through those at some point. Like on the actual cart.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I will never
Wrong
play
decimal. Yeah, $6.69. Yeah, totally.
Perfect. That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just stoked to have gotten those, and so basically I had like the game store, I had no idea that they would give me as much credit for like my old Rock Band stuff. Like I took my old Rock Band drum set,
really?
3 guitars and some stuff. They ended up giving me like $300 credit for my old Rock Band stuff that's been sitting in the garage for 10 years.
Yeah, I think that stuff is actually getting valuable again.
Yeah, because
like,
they don't
went
make
through a
it
point
anymore.
where they wouldn't even take it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know. I asked them, I was like, "Are you guys taking old guitars and stuff?" And they're like, "Yes.
Yeah.
Bring us what you have. We'll talk about it." So like I got like 300 credit just from like stuff that's been sitting in the garage for 10 years.
Nice. I got a set of that stuff too. I should bring it in.
Yeah. And I had a bunch of, because I've been cleaning out my collection and closet. I had like 30 doubles that I didn't realize that I had. So I took them all in and got credit for those. And then my Xbox One, I got credit for that. And
dude,
so
I
it wasn't
literally spent my day trying to get a hold of an Xbox One.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I want to play Cyberpunk on it.
I'm a little bit Cyberpunk on the OG. That's a retro game. It looks like a PlayStation game. It's fine.
Totally does. I can't wait. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stream that probably next week.
I'm a little sad that I took in my Xbox One because it was what I started streaming on, and I had the day one box. And
what'd you get for it? Oh, yeah, the day one edition.
Yeah,
I did too. That's what I got rid of too. I was kind of sad about it too. I should have kept.
I think I got like 160 credit or something.
Yeah, I'm buying one tonight for $200.
Yeah, so we played ourselves.
I know. I sold one this summer. I can't believe
played ourselves.
Why would I ever want this again? Oh, because I want to be a meme.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, the Series X can do everything this machine can do.
Yeah.
Why would I keep it?
Yeah.
And now I'm just sad. Fine. But yeah, so that's not even all of the pickups of mine in the last 2 weeks.
Man, you went hardcore. You got some big boys too. Some Halo games.
Yeah, I didn't even show you the PC Engine. I forgot. I have the inbox Japanese PC Engine TurboGrafx Duo is in my dining room right now. And I forgot that 2 of the games in there are the Bonk's Adventure Triple Pack, which has like Bonk.
Yeah.
It has like 3 games on the CD.
Is it Air Zonk, Bonk 1 and Bonk 2?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So I have that, and then like another, I think it might have just been straight up Bonk's Adventure sitting in a box.
Nice.
Yeah.
The CD version or the chip version?
Well, the Bonk's Adventure is the Hue card. I think the triple pack is a CD. I think.
Okay. I think Bonk's Adventure 3, I want to say if you get the Hue card version, it actually is super expensive. But if you get the CD version, it's not, because it's not as good a game if you get the CD version.
Really? What's the difference?
I think there's not as much animation on the CD version. So Bonk doesn't animate well. I don't know. I think that's the deal with it. I still am thinking about getting Legendary Axe for the TurboGrafx.
Oh no, so it is the Hue card. Gate of Thunder, Bonk's Adventure, and Bonk's Revenge.
Oh, Gate of Thunder.
What I got. No, that's the CD. It's the CD. And then, yeah, I think I got Bonk's Adventure for TurboGrafx Bonk 1, which is not the, I mean, it's like $60 complete, but yeah, the expensive one is, holy shit, Bonk's 3 for TurboGrafx. No, I mean, you know, we're feeding back into the shitty games being more expensive meme. Bonk 3 for TurboGrafx is complete $560.
Go
And
fuck
then
yourself.
Bonk 3 for the Super CD-ROM is $1,100 complete. But just the CD is cheaper than just the Hue card. But yeah,
That's
holy
crazy. It is so
shit.
weird how that happens. Like, just be whatever.
Crazy. Yeah, I want to get Bonk's Adventure for the NES eventually too, but that's one of the holy grails of the NES. It's like it's over $500 for the cart.
Yeah.
Stinky.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That Panic Restaurant and all that stuff. It's on the list. But I now have 15 out of the top 20 holy grails of the SNES now.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get a complete set for the SNES?
Oh hell no. I don't want all that shovelware sports game garbage.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's like 500 games or something.
But like once you get like the really hard ones to get, I don't know. Like suddenly, like the reason I wouldn't go for a complete set is because like I don't want to spend $500 for Aero Fighters or $700 for Hagani, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what keeps, aside from space and time. What it really is that like at some point I'm gonna have gotten all the commons, I'm gonna have gotten all the $50 to $60 games, and I'm gonna be staring at the question of, do I really want to spend $600 on Aero Fighters, right? And the answer is probably going to be no. So there's no point in going for a complete set if you know at the end of the road that's the answer. But you've already answered yes to that question, and you've already got 15 out of 20 of them. So why not just get the full set?
Because it's a difference of like I have about 150 Super Nintendo games.
Yeah.
It's the difference of having 150 and like 480 or whatever there are in the. I don't even know how many there are. It's that I don't have the space for it.
Okay.
I'm already
it's
fighting.
A space. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Space and time. I mean, it's.
But like you got a green screen back there, and that green screen could just be Super Nintendo cartridges.
Could be.
Just a wall of a shrine to all that is holy and 16-bit.
When we get a bigger house and I have like a full like bonus room entertainment area where I can put just shelving along the whole thing,
Yeah,
I'll consider it, but we're not there yet. But like you said, I will have had most of the grails of the system. So then it's like, okay, $2 for this cart, $3 for that cart, $5 for that cart.
Yeah, you could probably do like most of it by just getting like a lot, right?
Probably.
Of like the commons, and then you just like cherry pick off of eBay. Like I bet like to get all the commons would probably cost you less than like one of the big boys.
A lot of them, yeah. And I have to point out, like I do every week, I'm not some rich benefactor who's just out there spending Benjamins to get these games. I've been working for 7 years now, buying and selling and building my collection bankroll, as I like to call it, to be able to afford games like that by flipping stuff. And I've sold.
I don't even think you have to justify that, Jay. Like everybody's got hobbies, like
Yeah.
a lot of people look at car guys like working in their garage all weekend long, putting an extra 5 horsepower on a 500 horsepower car. Like, they don't understand it, but like everybody's got a hobby, so like you do you, and you enjoy what you do. You don't have to justify that kind of stuff.
For my own.
I find it extraordinarily entertaining.
I just love learning about all these games. Like, I try not to buy an expensive game like that without at least learning some history of it. I mean, obviously, I haven't played it or watched a whole lot of gameplay, but just
when you get so many games, it's hard to play them all.
Yeah, exactly. That's the tough thing. And I don't want to pick up a game that's expensive just for the sake of it being expensive right now. Like, there's games that have spiked that I think will come down, and I don't want to pick those up. Like, Pokemon Box is outrageous. Like, they had a copy. I was like, I could pick up Pokemon Box. It was $849 at the game store. It didn't have the outer cardboard box, but it's dropped like $300 in value in the last 2 months.
Oh, really?
because it just was one of those games that spiked just for the sake of it being expensive and rare. But like a game like Aero Fighters has sustained that price for the last 5-10 years. I'm like, it's not going anywhere, you know. So it just makes me feel more confident about.
Is Pokemon just hot right now because of
Oh
Pokemon
yeah,
Go and the I mean, there's 2 Pokemon games already on the Switch and if
COVID, Pokemon, everything's just skyrocketed this year.
yeah.
Like a copy of Soul Silver Heart Gold you could get, last a year ago, like 30, 40 bucks. But now a complete inbox copy, you're looking at 100. If you
Yeah.
have the outer cardboard box with the Pokewalker and stuff, you're looking at closer to 200. It's just like tripled in a year. It's crazy.
Hmm. Well, should we wrap it up? Is that the show?
Sounds like it.
Sounds like it. I'm gonna go lay down.
You're kind of already laying
I
down.
know. I'm slowly kind of like getting lower and lower.
Hope your back feels better, dude.
Yeah, usually I like sit here and right after the show I like edit everything, but I'm not gonna do it this until tomorrow morning. Hopefully I can sit at my desk a little easier.
I've noticed that when we do the pickup stuff, you do kind of just like slouch back and like,
oh, I'm just like kind of listening and enjoying watching as you go. I do really enjoy the pickup part of the show. Like I legitimately do like hearing about it.
I need to do more like YouTube videos of pickups and stuff. It's just tough.
Yeah. I like those. Metal Jesus Rocks. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He does a lot of those, and he'll bring on like guests and stuff, and I watch him all the time. Like, because and people make fun of him for doing it.
Like doing pickup videos?
Yeah. But I find them to be legitimately enjoyable because he shows the game, but then he also shows a little bit of gameplay from the game, and he describes a little of the history of the game, whether it be his personal history or the history of the development or why it's rare, why it's expensive, stuff like that. I think it's enjoyable. If somebody was just like literally like just showing stuff to the camera, I found this, and like no gameplay, no context, like that would be boring. But
I don't want to do that. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, that's good.
When there's context there, I enjoy it tremendously.
Learn about new games that you maybe didn't know about, or like, why the hell is that so expensive? And he like goes and covers it.
That's how I found about. It's from his channel that I found out about Beetle Adventure Racing, which is a game that I definitely wouldn't have picked up when it was new for the N64. And
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, I had never heard of it either. It is. I mean, it is what it sounds like. It's a beetle, like you race like a new bug from the Volkswagen Bug.
Oh no, I have seen that. I thought you meant like actual like insects.
No. And it's like a legitimately fun racing game for the Nintendo 64. Like I found a copy. It cost nothing. It was like $7.
Yeah, I might have a copy in my garage right now in a bin.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun game. And I don't like beetles. I don't like VWs in general.
There you go.
But I do like racing games, and this is a good one. It's kind of like the Pod Racer game. I don't like Star Wars, or I don't like that Star Wars movie, and I don't like anything about that. But that game is fun.
Yeah, it is. They need to make a new one.
I think they are. Oh no, they remade it. No, they re-released it. They just
that was the limited run one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I bought that, and they haven't shipped it yet.
Well, let me know how that is.
I'm sure it's just like the one I already own on the Nintendo 64. I'm not sure why I bought it. Did you hear they're making a Rogue Squadron TV show though? Speaking, because the Rogue Squadron was the name of the games that were on the N64. Right. I think they made one for the GameCube as well.
Yep.
So they're making. I don't know if there's going to be a connection to the video games at all, but they are making a TV show on Disney Plus called Rogue Squadron.
Is it? I'm guessing it's animated.
I don't think so. I think it's live action.
Really?
But Don't Mask the Truth says it's a movie, so maybe it's a movie, not a TV show.
Oh.
They made a lot of Star Wars content announcements over the last week or so, like multiple series, multiple movies. So I might have gotten that mixed up.
I'll wait because I have mixed feelings about the newest trilogy. I wasn't the biggest fans of 8 and 9.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
I mean, I'm a fan because I like entertaining stuff and I love
Yeah.
sci-fi, but I'm not like
I
a.
like to be entertained, so yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not a hardcore, Star Wars lore enthusiast or anything like that. But I do enjoy. I enjoy Mandalorian,
Yeah, me
and
too.
I mean, I enjoy all six of the first six Star Wars movies again because I just like to be entertained. Things that are able to keep my attention and like get my brain flowing and stuff like that. I generally like to watch, but like 8 and 9, I was like falling asleep,
Yeah.
and I don't know why, and it makes me sad. But
8 and 9, I think, were just like from a movie perspective, like not even as a Star Wars fan, they just weren't very good movies. Like
they were just kind of slow and
they didn't make a whole lot of sense. There was a lot of extraneous bullshit that just didn't progress the movie in any way.
yeah.
And there's
I like 7 a
nonsensical
lot.
bullshit as well.
I like 7 a lot.
I like 7 too. I thought the introduction of Rey and Finn were actually really good.
Yeah.
I thought 7 was really good. The first 3 movies, or the original 3 movies, to me, like as a child, were basically religion. Like the Force was as cool as anything could possibly be. And Luke Skywalker, while as an adult, you definitely see that he's kind of a brat. As a kid, he was cool as hell. And Han Solo was basically a father figure, to me.
Mhm.
I might as well have modeled my adult life after him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was who I wanted to be when I was growing up. I fucking adored those movies. So like, I am definitely one of those people that gets like mad about the midichlorians and that kind of shit. I fucking loved Star Wars when I was a kid.
Yeah. It was a little bit before my time.
That was
So I
before
was
my
like,
time. I mean, those were old
right.
movies when I was a kid.
Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
I was it was kind of between. I was, born and a kid between the first trilogy and the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Because the number 1 came out what, like 99 or 2000?
Somewhere around there.
Something, yeah. So I was like going into high school at that point. Um, I mean, I dug them just because they were entertaining to me and they were fresh, but everybody gets so mad about them. Like, I can't say shit. 'Cause,
Yeah. I enjoy the games now more than I enjoy the movies, to be honest. Well, The Mandalorian is good, but in the chat they brought up Vader Immortal, which is an amazing game. That's a VR game where you play like a Force user. You get to lightsaber against fucking Vader, like in VR. It's fucking amazing. And then, did you play the newest Rogue Squadron video game? I think it's just called Squadrons.
the GameCube one?
No. This just came out.
Oh, the one. I saw some people playing it. No, I haven't played it.
That's fucking good too. I played that.
Yeah, it looks
That's
cool.
I played that in VR too, and that feels like you're literally flying an X-wing. Like
Nice.
it is.
I have a quest.
Astounding.
I have a quest.
Check it out, man. It's really good. I'm sorry. That's been your Star Wars minute. Retro slot. Me and Eric's are always arguing about Star Wars too.
Yeah. I don't know enough about it to argue, to be honest. I'm like, oh yeah, oh, that's oh, interesting. Oh.
All right, should we sign off for the night?
Sure thing.
If the podcast is a little late tomorrow, I apologize. I'll be doing all the editing and stuff in the morning, and as opposed to at night. But we'll get it up there.
You can find me at Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at JSniperton. I typically stream Destiny and sometimes retro games in the middle of the night when most sane people should be asleep. So if you have insomnia or you just generally want to chill with good people, you can come check us out.
What are you streaming tonight?
Destiny.
What are you up to in Destiny right now?
Solstice is today, so probably be baking some cookies.
Making some cookies, getting some loot.
Yeah.
Are there any good rewards?
A new mini sparrow, a new the little tiny sparrow. They have another one.
Me at mini sparrow.
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah.
We're playing some Destiny. I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me kind of doing shit around, basically like neglecting all responsibility as much as possible. Mostly making bad jokes on the internet. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you for watching episode 7. We'll be back in 2 weeks on, what did we say, the 29th?
29th.
29th. We do the show live every other Tuesday on Twitch at twitch.tv/DCP_live on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Ears turning.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.